So it's been a while since my last video, to say the least. I transitioned full-time to streaming for a while for content creation. Then I had to quit that because new TikTok terms of service were bullshit and I didn't want to agree to that. Plus it was cutting me out of money anyway, so I figured, damn, what's the point? And the Twitch algorithm, sorry for going on a bit of a rant here, the Twitch algorithm is kind of shit, so you don't really get any viewers on here. But it's a rainy day by the time I'm recording this, and also, by the time this video goes up, it'll be 11, or actually 13 months since the Nintendo Switch 2 was formally revealed. And I figured I got a Steam Deck for Christmas. Why not compare the two? Because it's also about 3 months since I've had my Steam Deck. 2-ish months, whatever, 2.5. So I figured I'd just make a little video comparing the two. Now I'm going to judge them on about 5 categories. Those being ease of access, emulation backwards compatibility, controller feel, library third-party support, and just overall. So starting off with ease of access, I feel like this definitely goes to Switch 2. Even though Steam Deck for the most part has been very easy, at the same time it's not just something you can like, I don't know, like if you're buying a Steam Deck for your kid, right? You can't just buy them a Steam Deck and then set it up and then they can go play. No, they have to have the games installed, they have to have a pre-existing Steam library, or you have to go buy them games. Whereas with a Switch 2, and obviously it comes with a game, Mario Kart World. Not to mention there's plenty of games you can easily get bundled with it because of cartridge. You don't have to buy them at a digital storefront ahead of time. It's just easier. Another thing I will say about Switch 2 in terms of ease of access is so recently a storm came through like 2 or 3 weeks ago, and my Wi-Fi has been kind of on the fritz ever since. But that's annoying because my Steam Deck can't properly connect to the Wi-Fi. So there's sometimes where I have to just wait to reconnect my my Steam Cloud. So it's kind of annoying because I'll be playing like Red Dead Redemption on my computer. I'll be like, hey, I want to go ahead, sit in my bed and play Red Dead Redemption. Sometimes I have to like manually reconnect to the network and like a bunch of Wi-Fi drama in order to be able to play Red Dead 2 on my Steam Deck where I was on my computer. And I think the Steam Deck overall, that's a very nice aspect of it, is being able to play a game on your computer and then being able to play that same game with that same save data in your bed or whatever. But the Switch 2 kind of just does that better because all of it is stored on one console. So, for example, right now I lost like an hour of progress, which wasn't really that much, Monster Hunter Rise, because I wasn't able to sync my data via the cloud from a Steam Deck to my PC. Whereas with the Switch, I could play Skyward Sword on my TV, and I could take it in my bed, and I could play it in there in my bed pretty flawlessly. So I definitely give that point to the Switch 2. Now for emulation / backwards compatibility, this is actually tough, and I'm recording this off scripted, so everything you hear is just my thoughts in the moment. They are relative to change, but I feel like I will have to give this to the Steam Deck, mainly because there's just so much stuff you can emulate. Like, even through RetroArch alone, you have like 40 different emulators, or like, I don't know how many it is, but it's a shit ton of emulators. But the whole thing is, even though Switch 2 does have very good emulation, I would say, like, for example, I've been actually gone back and played some older Zeldas and stuff on Switch 2 emulation. Like, I went back and I played original Wind Waker, even though I have a copy of Wind Waker HD for my Wii U. Yes, I own a Wii U. If this video gets any comments, leave the punchlines there. I kind of went back and I played original Wind Waker. That was really nice. The emulation is pretty good for the GameCube and the N64 and all that stuff. I played original Paper Mario, a little bit of that as well. Never finished it, but that's definitely on my bucket list for games to finish. But the thing with the Steam Deck is it just has so many emulators, and granted, if the emulator is easy to set up on your computer, it'll be easy to set up on Steam Deck. Plus, you can get them in one app through EmuDeck, which is really nice. So, for example, I've been actually playing Monster Hunter Freedom Unite, Metal Gear Solid Peace Walker through the PlayStation Portable emulator, which has been really nice. And I'm thinking about playing the God of War PSP games through there as well. It has potential. It's just it feels like the Potential Man meme, where realistically I don't know how much I'm gonna emulate stuff on my Steam Deck, but overall it's very nice. I think I would give that point to Steam Deck overall. Plus, another thing with the Steam Deck emulator is you can play games that normally you can't on your TV. On your TV, if you have a dock, like playing Metal Gear Solid Peace Walker on my couch, because I never had a PS3 going up. Playing that on my couch was pretty interesting. So was Freedom Unite. Freedom Unite actually felt really fun playing on a TV. So that point definitely goes to Steam Deck. And next we have controller feel. And this is kind of just a Steam Deck sweep, because the Steam Deck has very good Bluetooth. You can just use whatever controller you want. You can even use a Nintendo Switch 2 Pro controller on your Steam Deck. Whereas the Switch, you're kind of locked to just the Pro controller. Which, granted, don't get me wrong, the Switch 2 Pro controller is a really fucking good controller. It's like one of my favorite controllers I've ever used. You can just use it on a Steam Deck though, so it kind of erases the point. You can use the Steam Deck controller when it releases, which I'm super excited for. And even the base Steam Deck, the buttons feel really nice. And granted, so do the Joy-Con 2 on Switch, but the buttons on Switch 2 feel real, or Steam Deck feel really nice. So I feel like this is just one for the Steam Deck. Then we have library third-party support. So here's the thing. This one is actually tough. If we are going on overall library, I think I would say Steam Deck. However, a lot of games aren't just supported on Steam Deck. Like, hold on, let me look at my library real quickly. Like, Resident Evil 9 is probably not going to be supported on Steam Deck. A bunch of older games is hard to play through Steam Deck because you need a keyboard and mouse extension. A lot of MMOs is hard to play through Steam Deck. And granted, you're not going to be playing those type of games on Switch anyway. But it's kind of just a slap in the face to where, hey, I have Command and Conquer, Tiberian Sun, and Firestorm in my library, but I can't play that on my Steam Deck because I need a keyboard and mouse. And a lot of third-party games, even though they are Steam Deck verified, I actually saw this recently with Borderlands 4. It got verified on Steam Deck, which means you think it would run super smooth. It actually doesn't. It runs pretty badly on Steam Deck. I don't even think it's like a stable 30 FPS on Steam Deck, which is crazy. Whereas with Switch, at least you know it's gonna run on Switch. At least it's gonna run. It might not run great, but at least it's gonna run. Plus, apparently Capcom, a report came out that RE9 runs 60 FPS docked on Switch 2, which is kind of ridiculous and shows that I think if the developer cares enough to put into an effort for report, it will come out really well. Like, I have Cyberpunk on my Switch 2, and that game runs at like a solid 45 FPS, 40 FPS. Feels really nice to play. So it's more so if the developer cares enough, they will make the Switch 2 version good. And then just overall library, this is tough. And this will vary person to person. For me, I have to say Switch. Because some of my most played Steam games are just games I already had on other Steam Deck games, are just games I had on other consoles. Like Monster Hunter Rise, I had that on my Switch, and I've been playing that to help a friend. And like Fallout New Vegas, I had that on my Xbox. But whereas Switch has some just such unique games that I can play. And specifically, most of them are designed to work in handheld really well. Like, all the Zelda games that are on Switch work very well in handheld. Same thing with most of the Marios. Even something like Cyberpunk works pretty well in handheld. It's like 30-ish FPS. Even though it eats through the battery, it works pretty well. And then I know I said I wasn't buying kind of lost scripting. I'm going to add a final category instead of overall, which is going to be recommendation. And basically, this is how much I would recommend it. So if you are buying a Steam Deck for like a small child or like a primarily console gamer, it's going to go over not well. Because you have to buy them all these additional games. Even though online is free, so theoretically they could just play something like Fortnite or Marvel Rivals or whatever on their Steam Deck. The Steam Deck is more niche per se, and I've felt that since buying it. Like, it's more for people who are on their computers a lot. I guess that was in the marketing, so I'm kind of repeating points that have already been made, but I don't care. It's interesting. However, even though because the OLED Steam Deck, which I have, and the Nintendo Switch 2 are both priced around the same. For about 90% of people, I would recommend getting them a Switch 2. I think they will have fun with that because it can play most third-party games that they want. Even if they're like a casual gamer, it can play like the Maddens, the FIFAs, the Fortnites, etc. Wouldn't be surprised if we get like Marvel Rivals ported there in a bit. Also, sorry for that noise. I forgot to silence my phone before recording, but overall, I would just say, in terms of recommendation, the Switch 2 will get you more bang for your buck because, well, it's kind of just something everyone can use. Like, even if you've never played a Nintendo game in your life and you don't plan on doing, if you get a Switch 2, you can still play most games that will be interesting. Like, you can play fucking Witcher 3 and it will actually run fairly well on Switch 2 and stuff. Those are just some thoughts I had. Haven't made a video in a while, and I kind of just thought it's a rainy, shitty day. What a better thing to do. But that's about it. Who knows? Maybe I'll keep making videos.